To design a modern interface, the first thing I recommend you to stop doing is to design shadows like these. Instead, you want to opt for shadows that's soft and natural like this. When your shadow is too harsh, it takes away your focus from other elements on the screen. I recommend this plugin. If you point the light source in different directions, it will create realistic shadows. You can toggle the brightness of the shadow. You can also try using shadows that aren't completely black. Increase the brightness to enhance the color of the shadow to get the look that you want. I like that the shadow of this card is not too harsh. It's very soft and blurred out, but you still know that the card is floating without the shadow being in your face. Airbnb uses a red color shadow to illustrate that this bar is actually glowing. Although this app is also very well designed, I don't recommend you to have shadows for everything on the screen unless you need a shadow for a clear purpose, like making a specific card stand out from the rest of the elements in the screen. You don't need a shadow for every card just to make elements stand out. You can actually use a dark color as the background and using a white color card to make elements in the front stand out better. The next thing to pay attention to is typography. Unique fonts can give character to your designs, but if you use too much of it, it can make things hard to read. Strike a balance between aesthetics, readability, and the goals of a design. When you're choosing fonts for UI design, you want to use fonts with multiple font weights because it gives you more room to play around when you're designing. Here are some of my favorite fonts. Another very good site for fonts is called FontShare. My favorite ones are Satoshi, General Sense, Cabinet Grotesque, and on the website you also have this page to experiment and pair your fonts together. If you're looking for premium fonts, these are the premium fonts from Pangram. They're super beautiful. The only thing is that it's quite expensive. Another really cool font foundry website is called Klim. These are the fonts that they offer. Lineto is another font foundry that I recommend for premium fonts. You also want to experiment with contrast and pairing. A great example is Burger King's app. They not only have a primary font that shouts their brand identity, one would even say that when you look at the font, you know that it's Burger King. You can also try mixing serif and sans serif fonts like this one. This is also very cool, and this as well. When you get the font pairing just right, your UI will automatically come off as full of character. It's also very modern. While there are nothing wrong with simple functional footers, we can all take inspiration from sites that have creatively used footers to engage people. If you need design inspiration for footers, check out footer.design and it has different styles of footer designs for your inspiration. The next thing to avoid doing is intrusive pop-ups. Nobody likes pop-ups. They interrupt the user experience and it feels like an ad. Instead, consider using less intrusive elements like banners or even a subtle badge that prompts users to check out what's happening, or an inline banner, or a toast with subtle movement that gets out of the way after a few seconds, so it is less anxiety-inducing. Designing your UI in such a way that the need for pop-ups is minimized. Most of the examples that you see in this video are found using Mobbin, the world's largest UI and UX design reference library, who's sponsoring a portion of this video. You can use Mobbin to draw inspiration from real-world apps and websites. These products have undergone extensive user research, which means that you can gain insights into what's working today. When you need ideas for a specific project, you can save them into your very own inspiration board. I use this collection to save creative ideas from different industries so that I don't keep looking in the same sources for inspiration. Mobbin is packed with a lot of useful features like a Figma plugin, commenting, and the library is updated every week. Try Mobbin for free today using this link. Today, many designs look alike because most designers are probably using UI kits. As a result, we get cookie-cutter layouts. UI kits can save time and provide a good foundation, so I still suggest experienced designers to start a project with a basic UI kit. My UI kit looks something like this. It contains all the simple elements like colors, fonts, input fields, drop down, icons, and also a search bar so that it doesn't limit my creativity, but at the same time, it gives me the speed to start a project really quickly. When using UI kits, tailor them to the product that you're designing, so your designs won't end up looking like everyone else's. Now that AI is also baked into Figma, as designers, we got to bring our A game. Take a look at these examples. Which app would you be more inclined to use every day? Think about ways to make your UI more engaging and push the boundaries. The next thing I don't recommend you to do is the overuse of gradients. Gradients can add depth and make your UI design more interesting. Just like Stripe's landing page, where they use gradients on a hero, it looks really attractive. But if this gradient were to cover the entire page, it might look too overwhelming and a little bit dated. Don't use gradients everywhere just for the sake of it. The usual rule of thumb is to have less than 3 primary colors at a time. Taking this as an example, although they use gradients at the top and they have different colors being used, it was used in moderation. And when you scroll down the page, the main primary color stays and other colors are just accent colors to add visual interest to the designs. You can experiment with soft gradients that complement your brand color well. And as you can see, they do not just slap gradients wherever they want. They actually use gradients as a way to guide your eyes to see the next section, to evoke emotions when you're scrolling through the site, while balancing sans serif and serif fonts to create a modern look. I really love how they've designed this site. So intentional, so thoughtful. This is the kind of usage of gradients that we should all learn from and try to steal some inspiration from sites like these. The next thing to avoid is faded low contrast UI because it makes your interface look very outdated. I'm not implying that every website should look hip and striking like this. Your color palette and your visual elements should align with your brand. If your brand's identity is minimalistic, trendy designs and fancy layouts may not align with your brand's image. Sweet Green is a very great example on how they use colors of lower saturation as the background, but they still look hip and modern. So what I'm trying to get at is pastel colors doesn't necessarily make your brand feel outdated. It's a matter of using the right imagery, the right design styles, the balance of different color combinations, having the right typography that aligns with your brand's tone of voice. And there's still a very strong contrast between your elements. Next up, overcrowded interfaces. If your designs are cluttered and have too many elements, it is going to overwhelm people. Modern UI design emphasizes on simplicity and functionality. White space is not wasted space. It's crucial because it helps to balance the design elements on the screen. However, this also depends on the cultural context and what your users prefer. Websites in Japan, Korea, and China have a higher density of information on a single page compared to Western websites. So it's important that we consider these factors as well. Just the right amount of white space is perfect. Avoid using cheesy generic stock images, icons, or illustrations. I'm sure you've experienced websites with generic fake-looking stock images like this. Not only do these fail to earn your trust, but they also make you want to leave the page right away. You want to choose visual assets that have more character and less commonly used. Which one do you think is more effective in communicating what your product does? This or this? In my opinion, I find that the most effective strategy is to show your product right away so that I know exactly what are you going to offer. But if you're not sure if you should go with images of people or you should go with screenshots of the actual product, A/B test it. Put it on for a week and see which one converts more effectively for your site. There are also creative ways to showcase imagery on your site, like cropping out elements that stand out in the image, manipulating your image in a way that's eye-catching like this, adding in doodles and illustrations to make your brand feel more fun and human, mixing images of real people with illustrations and also giving a glimpse of how your product works, like this cursor here. Another creative idea is to have animated illustrations with images of real people, components of your product, and playing with typography and copywriting to really help effectively communicate what your product is about. I believe that when a design is rooted in simplicity and functionality, it stands the test of time. This is why we still like classic furniture, classic products, famous logos after so many years. So if you like this video, I'm sure you're going to like the next one. Watch this redesign video to level up your UI UX design skills. And I'll see you in that video. Bye!